earth is that? It's a Journey into Comics Network production! What? We're back. Yeah. It all started down as a wrinkle in his brain when Nate hit. Brando got him to pause the game, setting out on a journey podcast until the masses formed a pod family kicking audio asses. Now the Walking Dead is dead and the end game was won, but the war it isn't over because the battle's just begun. The boys are back in action, can't you see? Nate and Brando lay it down, the OGs of JIC.
What's up, Deuterinos? Welcome back to another episode of the OGs. We're back. We're back in action once again, kind of. And it's episode 11.
9 maybe? Could it be 10?
Well, I mean, we've done I don't know. Anyway, episode 11, I think, of OGs, brought to you by the power of the Journey into Comics Network and through the association of the Game Addicts Podcast. We are here once again. I'm one of your OGs, Brando, joined by one of my other OGs, Nate.
How's it going, my dude?
It's going pretty good. We are here once again.
Did you unmute us, by the way?
I did. I remembered.
Good.
I remembered.
Good.
Yeah, no, we're going. We are officially recording the podcast this time. As I started the intro and got pretty much all the way through the intro, I was like, no, we got to start the intro over again because I didn't hit that big old red button down there at the bottom.
False start, ladies and gentlemen. False start.
That's what we call a false start. I'm known for false starts. It's like, no, try again. No, hold on. Like,
also, unseen footage. Lost starts and unseen footage should be this episode title, or false starts and unseen episode footage. I can't talk.
Yeah. So as this is the the third episode, we're on every other Wednesday here on the Journey into Comics Network, and the first two episodes that you've heard of the sort of resurgence, the rebirth, the remake, the remission. That's not
Redo.
Redux. Anyway, of the OGs, the first two. Episode 9 is actually episode 10, and episode 10 is actually episode 9. And then there was a lost episode in there that got all messed up and funkied up. That we're gonna have to redo at some point. We're not redoing that episode today.
Thanks me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It happens. Podcaster's luck is what we call it. And hopefully I am not suffering from that today.
Let's talk about that real quick, Brando. Podcaster's luck. Because in my history, let's see. The first time it really happened was 157 at JIC. I was doing a show. I was going to have Blaine on. Blaine and I do this amazing podcast. There was a lot of energy. We had a lot of great ideas and thoughts. I immediately hooked the board up to the computer to start doing my transfer process as I do. I deleted all the files out of the board. And for some reason, it freaked the board out, never saved it, and I couldn't transfer it out. It just deleted it out of everything. Like it was a mess. And I freaked out and had to re-record the episode. Let's try that again, I think is the episode title for 157 because of that. You and I had an episode that got lost because a slippy finger. I mean, that's just the truth.
If I do recall, was that a wrestling episode, JIW?
Yeah, it was JIW, and we had, that was, again, lightning in a bottle. We had one of the greatest JIWs. We're going to do the export. It's like 97%.
You unplugged it.
No, I went to go grab something, or I went to plug my phone in and hit the fucking red button on the power strip.
That's right.
It's like, no! I just looked at you and I was like, you're not even going to believe what just happened, man.
If I recall, that was after we went and saw Iced Earth?
Uh-huh.
And so it was already a late night. We got back. We recorded half of JIC, came back and recorded the second half or something like that. We did like a
And I almost recorded over that. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, I could just unplug it and it won't exist. and it didn't, and it saved the other version. I was super grateful of that, man. Like, holy shit, that was almost
Yeah.
really bad.
If I recall, we got done recording at like 5:00 in the morning, and when you told me what happened, I really wasn't that happy. You know,
me neither.
Well,
I wasn't
it's like
happy either.
Well, I'm usually a very easygoing guy. I don't get fired up. I don't get heated too often. Like I'm usually understanding about this stuff, but here we are. It's a late night. I'm barely awake as it is. We barely like. I remember I started fading at the end of that JIW. It was like, yeah, I go to sleep, and then you told me that what happened, and I just looked at you, and I didn't have like a, oh well, it'll be fine in me. It was just what.
I've never felt more awful in a podcasting sense than in that day. And I think that was the last time that I had like official podcaster folly until episode 10-2, not 10, actually 10, but was never existed 10.
So we are recording over Zoom, one of the many video things that we have tried. And so if Nate has the occasional electric cat or just freeze face, bear with us. It is what it is.
Was it bad?
No. It was just one little hiccup there that I'm just, before it gets bad, I'm putting one foot out first, saying, hey, this is how we got to do it. Because the way we did it for episode 10, really episode 9, was we each recorded video on our own end, and I spent the next day and a half editing the two clips together, going back and forth between us, like in actual production. Well, I kind of can't do that because I don't have really good production studio here on my laptop. I have the ability to capture a monitor and record video, capture webcam. That's fine, but I don't have that big high tech stuff, and I don't want to put a day and a half into every episode of OGs. I like doing the show, but that's a lot of time to sit there.
It's a ton of time. And let me tell you, even when you know Vegas and how to work that, it is still laborious. You take, it is a long process to do editing. I mean, it took me, I think, an hour and a half to edit a 5-minute video of the tour of the game room.
Yep.
Or the comic room. I keep fucking doing it because I'm looking at the goddamn it, motherfucker. The mic just about hit me in the face too. God damn. Okay, I'm staring at your game room, which made me say game room, but I had a filming of the comic room that I put up on the interwebs for people to see. And yeah, I should probably upload that on YouTube. I just realized that's not up there. I need to do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, Brando, what the fuck are we doing, man?
Well, I mean, we're trying to do a podcast right now, and
yeah. Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Thank you, Mr. Obvious. First time caller, long time listener.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the first thing on the agenda, is trying to get a podcast done. And we're still living under certain circumstances. By the time you hear this, I'm not sure where
quarantines.
Quarantines. I'm not sure where we're gonna be at by the time this episode makes air. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, things change on this stuff every day. It could be worse. It could be better. I don't know. Where we live, we have a 5-step program to get out of it back to normal.
Which is really a 3-step program to blow up in this state's face. If I'm just being super fucking real. Like, guess what, Brando? When this comes out in 6 weeks, we're still going to be in quarantine, bro.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, it's a start. I don't know. It's just like it's starting to slow down. We'll see. We'll see, because we don't know exactly how this is going to react with higher humidity, which is going to start up in about a month or so. We'll see. That's all we can do. Hang on, man. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Today here on the OGs, we have decided, back on episode 294 of Journey into Comics 6 weeks ago.
Hey, I love the reference. Nice drop. So guess what that means? Happy episode 300 to JIC. Hey! Future tripping. It's crazy. We're back to the futuring it again, my friend. This is Back to the Future 2, where we're in the future. It's 2015, but really it's 2020, and episode 300 has already happened. But I haven't filmed it yet, have no idea or plan. fucking weird.
So, let me just start off by saying that 2015 was a really good year in retrospect.
It's like the best year. Like, well, okay, no, listen, I would say from 2016 to 2020, I have been fortunate to live my fucking dreams, man. As far as like traveling the states, playing music for people, meeting some of my heroes, I could not have asked for a better that part of it all. On the other side, there has been so much bad, and not just internally or with my bubble, but in the whole world. That it just like it makes the great good that there was a version of me. If like 18-year-old me knew my life now, 18-year-old me would be like, motherfucker, I'm so proud of you, I want to give you a blowjob. And I'm like, whoa. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would have been like, you met who? You've done what? You played wow, I can't sold out show in Chicago. Like, you can't ask for that. Like, it's a dream, man. And if it all ended tomorrow, I'd be stoked. But yeah, man, 2015 was a good year. Like, in retrospect, Age of Ultron came out in 2015. You know, we were still on the high of the first Guardians movie and whatnot. Ant-Man came out in 2015. Oh shit, as I hit the fucking, I almost knocked the laptop clean the fuck over. That would have made for an interesting podcast. He broke it on the show and you can hear him now, but you can't see him.
Oh
it's
man.
Bad.
No, like, but 2015, we were like, we did episode 50 of Journey into Comics.
Dude,
we had some really cool, fun episodes that year. The very first Nerds of the Round Table was that year.
Hell yeah,
really good episode. We did Holiday Bullshit and Bullshit 2.
Some of the funniest episodes we've ever produced.
Oh my god. So what was funny is that in preparation for doing something, like going back to episode 294, I was trying to find that clip that I put into the show, and I'm like, I know I maybe clipped that. So I went back to episode 50 and listened to the little funny highlight reel that I put in there at the very end of some of the weird stuff that we had said. And one of my favorite lines is like, so if you like Chips Ahoy, if I like Chips Ahoy and or Oreos, and you also like Chips Ahoy and or Oreos, we can be friends. I don't know why you said that or when, but I just like listening back
out of context. It's hilarious.
You're like, I just want to walk into a room and be like, hell yeah, I love nachos.
Batman is not a robot, dude. That rant, come on, legendary. Yeah. Like that's a moment.
Yep. That one.
We're reminiscing again.
There's that, but I mean, because there's a point to the reminisce. 2015, my son was born. My firstborn son was born. Like, I got two of them now. And so there was that big thing. We added a third host to Journey into Comics.
For a short time, yeah.
Shuddy
Boy.
Shuddy Boy.
To the Shud.
For that era of the show. And then that went into 2016, where we were fast approaching episode 100 of Journey into Comics.
Can I just say, going into 2016, the universe like started a super kick party we still haven't come off of. Like, they were like, David Bowie dead, Lemmy, fuck you, dead. Like, we're going after whoever else. I don't remember. There was a lot of death. Prince fucking dead. Like, holy shit, happening fast and furiously.
Kobe's helicopter this year, dead. Super kicked right out of the sky.
Dude, I saw something online the other day, and I was just like, people will not. And I mean, we're even further down the line since we've got 6 weeks of time on this, so it's not as close to his death as it was when we recorded it. There's a perk to time travel. Soften the blow a little bit, But like, I heard that some kid in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare was like, it's so bad. It's so bad. Why do people do these things? He's crashing the helicopter, and before he does it, he's yelling Kobe, as in like shooting a jump shot. and killing the entire party that's in the helicopter with him. I'm just like blown away at kids these days, you know? Man.
Whatever happened to just teabagging, you know, in Halo?
Right. Just rub your nose. I wrote a song. Do you want me to on the podcast like sing my little song for teabagging people? Oh, this is amazing because it's never ever seen the light of day except for when you got teabagged by me on when I was playing Halo. So I'd be like, I did my balls in your mouth. I did my balls in your mouth. I did my balls in your mouth. And I would just do that over and over again, and I would just like teabag up and down. You know, like I was an asshole. It was great. Online gaming used to be fun, and then people used to. The minute I stopped online gaming for all of eternity was the day swatting became a thing. I was like, and scene. I'm done.
Yeah.
Nope. I'll never play a Gears of War game because the first time you're like, you dumb motherfucker, you got me killed. It's like, oh shit, now there's people here to kill me all for a fucking real. No.
It's nuts, dude. Twitch streamers get swatted and all that jazz. It's absolutely insane. However, let's get this train back on track, if you will. Episode 100 of Journey into Comics.
That's where we were.
Yeah, that thing. We had worked it out to where it was going to be potentially in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
For the very first time. And we had got asked if we would want to take part in a local comic convention.
We got long-term courted.
Mm-hmm.
We were long-term courted. We had several messages back and forth through our mediator who was more involved in doing the con. And shout out to Wes Uhas for being a true champion of the network and really help laying the groundwork that is still the foundation that this network sits on to this day. So that was awesome, that he stewarded that. But yeah, continue. I just wanted to just throw that in there.
Oh, no, absolutely. And no, Wes hit us up and was like, hey, would you guys want to come and help out? There's a chance maybe you could do a live podcast or something. And we're like, really? That would be awesome. That's something that we'd always wanted to do. And we asked when it was, and we mapped it out. That's going to be episode 100. You couldn't book this. You couldn't make this up. You couldn't write this any better.
Yet again, a time and a place. Crazy happenstance with this shit.
Exactly. And we're like, yeah, we'll do it, dude. We'll help out. And part of it was we had to kind of volunteer to help out with the con, to do that. Now, here's the thing. Since then, we've had other con experiences, and that's kind of the crux of this episode because we have never talked at length about our experience with Villains Con 2016.
I'm already stress smoking because we're talking about it.
Needless to say, there was not a Villains Con 2017.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Or 18 or 19. And there won't be one in 20, let me tell you for certain.
Well, and also not because of COVID, because the store is now closing. Yeah,
I saw that, and I just said good riddance. I mean, I hate to be kind of an asshole about it. Yeah, good riddance.
So, I only met the owners of that store that were putting on this convention once, and that was during this weekend. And we volunteered. So this was it started off as a small con in their store. It was hey, we have a stage area. They would have bands play there, and let's do this kind of small convention. And they did it for maybe 1 or 2 years, and then they decided to rent the local hockey arena into a much bigger con. And essentially, they were in over their head. They were not ready for that big step yet.
You mean to say essentially as soon as they booked it, they were in over their fucking heads?
Yeah. Oh, by far. Now, granted, they didn't get A-list celebrities to show up and he'd be here. They didn't get B-list celebrities to show up and be here. I wouldn't like. Do you even consider them like C or D list? Because I mean, what they did have, they had.
I mean, listen, these people had pull.
No,
I mean, they had
they had
cool
fan
people, you know?
followings and cults. I don't want to I don't want to demean their following or like their roles that they did, because these are people they had a lot of the original, they had all of the original like main Mighty Morphin Power Ranger villains. You had the guy that did Lord Zed, the voice for Lord Zed, who is unfortunately passed on now.
He just died, yeah.
And then you had the gal that played Rita. I don't think she was the original voice for Rita. I think she was the actress who, when they started shooting footage in like over here in North America, utilizing Rita, they used her as the appearance for Rita, because all the original Rita stuff was the Super Sentai Warrior stuff. And so, and then they had the guy that did the voice for Goldar, Kerrigan Mahan.
Yes, Goldar's here.
Yeah. So, those guys were there, and that was cool, especially when you have a show called Villains Con, you got the Power Ranger villains, right? You had some co-stars from like
Deep Space Nine.
You had a couple from Deep Space Nine. Nog, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. Got to meet him, and I can't remember the gal's name off the top of my head. Again, I didn't do research for this. We literally just said this an hour ago that we were going to do this.
We on the spot decided this was what we're doing.
And you had some people from Supernatural was there, like some co-stars. They actually had somebody bring like their version of the Supernatural car that they had collected and like restored and made it a copy of that or whatever. So that was there on the floor. You had some just several artists, including artists, one in particular, actually a couple in particular who have become friends of the Journey to Comics Network, like Todd Black.
Yep.
Yeah. I got his book somewhere around here. I did anyway.
And Brian K. Morris is the other name that comes to mind from that time. Man.
Yep, Brian K. Morris, as well as he is also friends with the guy who is the animator for
Philo Barnhart.
Yeah, Philo Barnhart. He was an animator for Disney for a long time, especially during the 80s during that period. And
worked on The Little Mermaid.
And I want to say The Great Mouse Detective and The Rescuers, maybe.
And then also somehow in weird happenstance also worked as a part of this first Star Trek movie.
He was a part of the replacement effects team, because you had the original effects team that did most of the movie, and then you had a team that came in to do other effects. And the reason why he said he didn't have a credit for that is because in film you have to have, or at least it used to be, so many feet of film that you've done on the film to get credited, and they didn't have enough because they're kind of like the second crew or whatever that came in, so they didn't get he never got credited for stuff that he actually actively worked on. But so you had people here, and they decided to do a 3-day event, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it required you and me both to leave our respective areas of home, to go over and stay there for the weekend. I stayed for Friday, Saturday. I didn't go in for Sunday because, again, I think my son was like just under a year old.
Yeah.
So I did. This was like the first time that either me or my wife had been gone for an extensive period of time. For that entire first year, okay, maybe I'd spend one night somewhere, oh, okay, let's go do that real quick, and then I'd be back. But as far as like 2 full days, like pretty much 2 full days, no, like I wasn't going to do a third, especially I think I had work on Monday. I'm like, no, not going to do it. But you did, you went back on Sunday, but we decided.
No, I did not.
Oh, you didn't go?
I was going to, and I stayed in Hoopeston with the intention of going, but after what we'll get into, I literally called, I think it was Wes, and I was like, bro, don't look for me today because I'm not going to be there. Like, sorry, I got to get home. I'm not feeling right. Like, just, I can't in good conscience come back. And there were Listen, I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna blow the door open on this whole entire weekend because there's a lot of shit behind the scenes that happened that I think. Look, it's been like fucking 4 years, man. Scott, we can fucking talk about it now. It's time to open it up a little bit and give some perspectives.
Well, again, and this is from our perspective. This is what we saw, what we heard. You know, there were some things. We're not going to go into some of the more cagey stuff. Some of that stuff that kind of happened. I'm not going to really go into that because we have no real evidence or firsthand experience with that portion. I can tell you what I saw, and I can tell you what I heard directly.
And I can tell you that I've gotten some firsthand accounts from people because in the weirdest happenstance of life, I played a show with members from two of the bands that played Villains Con 2016 last year. And we all reminisced about Villains Con. Like we were standing in a circle and I was like, so this is the first time three of us have been in a room since, and I like looked down and I was like, Villains Con 2016. And there was just like a pause because I don't think realized who I was at the time. And then I like unfolded everything and they were like, oh my God, that's fucking crazy. You know, so I have their little stories and perspectives. I've got what we experienced, and that's about as far as I know, you know.
So let's just be frank and clear from the get-go. When we were asked to take part in this, and volunteer and help out, you know, I still have my Villains Con shirt, and if I'd have known any better, if we'd have planned this, I would have wore it because I still have it.
I still have mine too. Oh, damn it!
But on the back of it, it says staff, and that was a pretty much, and I'm sure that a lot of people who volunteer and work for cons puts a bullseye on you. Anybody needs you, anybody has a gripe, it's you. You are a con person. You take care of this. And I was trying. All I tried to be was accommodating. But like when we were asked, we got brought in. We didn't. Neither one of us realized this until we were in it. That there were two guys that owned the store, Vintage Villains.
Yep.
And they were putting this con on, and
the long con.
But they were putting this on, and yet the entire planning of the events, these two guys, like the overall, like what's going to happen, like as far as like on the stage show, what's going on, we got this thing and that thing, that was not them. They did not have a say in that. That was Wes's group of friends were pretty much in charge of that. And there was miscommunication with that big time.
They were giving out miscommunications left and right, my friend. It was like, there were so many misunderstandings, things that were said. Man, the first thing that kind of like sparks my memory is we got there, we parked. I don't think the first day, the Friday, we brought the gear because we knew we weren't doing any recording based stuff. We just had those, right?
I think we left gear either in your truck. We just left it in there.
Yeah, we left it. That's right.
Like we didn't bring anything because we didn't really know what the whole night was like. We didn't know if we were going to be able to do something back in the back with anybody, record, because always have it on hand, but we didn't bring it in. We didn't like plan on that. We just had it. And we went in, we met everybody as far as like who we're going to be, because I knew Wes and that was it. You knew some of the other guys.
And I knew Wes and his friend, Aaron, a former friend or friend. I don't know where they're at in life, but like those two. And there was like maybe one or two other people from that group. And then of course, being that I'm from the area and was kind of I had lived in Danville for a little bit, knew some other people that were outside of that were just happened to be there that, did West per se.
So, we were told that if we were to volunteer, we could do a live podcast on stage in front of people, on Saturday. Like when they were doing the panels and stuff, like somewhere in the panels, that's going to be our time slot, if you will. And quite literally, we get there and everything's fine, everything's hunky dory. They're trying to figure out all the times and everything. Like I don't even think they had it. They didn't even have it where like where you go to bigger, more professional conventions where you have a already printed out layout of when these times and where to be.
Yeah, your panel time, so
Yeah.
people know, like, oh shit, I want to make sure not to miss Joe Blow at 3:37.
Yeah, because he's blowing everybody. And I want to be in line for that shit. Show's on hold. Nate,
I'm here.
Okay, because you froze like this.
I'm here.
You
froze like.
That
was amazing.
Anyway, so we get there on Friday. We meet with Wes. We meet with everybody else. It's cool. We
got the show floor tour.
Yeah, we got all that. We were helping some of the guys, some of the artists and authors set up so somebody asked for extension cord for their thing. And
Philo was one of the people we ended up helping. Actually, I think Brian K. Morris also ended up being someone we were helping.
Yeah.
We were kind of over in the area with the girl from Walking Dead, the little girl from Walking Dead that was one of the zombies, Abby something or other. But
was that the girl from the first episode?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the very first zombie you see in The Walking Dead, that Rick pops, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Day one, the doors were open. And there wasn't nobody there.
It was a ghost town, bro. It was pretty sad. And you know what? We were like hawks because I think get kicked into high gear for us. Like there aren't people here getting in our way to talk to these people that we need to already talk to. I think you and I don't remember, and maybe you can refresh my memory a little bit. Did we forcibly insert ourselves into the two panels that we wanted, or was that just a miraculous miracle of happenstance?
We got asked if we wanted to do it because they needed help hosting the panels.
Okay.
And they asked if we would help. We said, sure. I was like, okay, so which one would you want to do? And you went, I want to do the Power Ranger panel. Like instantly, you're like, yeah. So yeah, in a way, you did force your way into the Power Ranger panel. And I looked at you like, motherfucker. God damn it. Like, some bitch. And like, all right, Brando, you got the Star Trek panel. I'm like, awesome. And now, granted, I am a Star Trek fan. I've watched the entirety of Next Generation. I've watched Voyager. I have watched the original series.
Didn't watch Deep Space Nine, though.
The one series I have tried to watch and get into and just can't for whatever reason. I've tried. I want to because it's a different type of series, whereas the other ones are like, we're on adventure this week, and we're on adventure another week. Deep Space Nine, you're in the same spot. So they kind of developed more serialized storytelling. For that, and then you have run-ins with, Worf ends up joining the cast at one point. So I want to watch it. I want to watch it all the way through because I've heard it is kind of like, if you like it, you love it. One of those type series, but it's like can be hard to get into.
Sure.
Which that's where I'm at with it. So we had co-stars. We had two co-stars. Aaron Eisenberg was the fella playing Nog, and I can't remember the gal. But she was there as well, and she played somebody, and they were going to be the Star Trek panel. So I actually tried to do research while I was there and had internet at Danville. I'm like, all right, who are these guys? They did Deep Space Nine. I've watched enough Star Trek to BS my way through this. So I said, okay, it was going to be me and this other guy. We're going to host this panel, and it was going to be, I believe, the first panel of Saturday.
Yes, it was. And actually, first panel of Saturday, and the biggest mistake of the whole entire weekend for me, I had access and availability and totally could have recorded your panel, left it up for JIC, which we did following that, left it up for my panel, which was directly following that, and had an amazing catalog of things, man. First of all, I want to talk about your interview a little bit. It was cool to watch that from the stage because you seemed really on point, and you're a great interview. You were looking for questions that were pointed, that had that were maybe not asked by everyday fans, that were just like, oh my God, in episode 13, when you did this one thing with your wardrobe, did your nipple really get exposed, or was that just a malfunction of visuals? Like some weird shit, like, because people are like that, man. They just they obsess on the tiny things. So you approached it not knowing it as much as you maybe wanted to from an angle that you had. I mean, it was a great interview. I loved it.
So, and we'll get to more of that on Saturday, but Friday, we were, around again, as you said, going around, and I don't remember. I believe it was on Saturday that it was decided who was going to host the panels because Friday everybody was most people were like still setting up. Like, they shouldn't have been open on Friday. That should have just been a setup day, completely, because that's what it was. I think there was like one or two people that were actually there that had weekend passes that were in there to get in there early.
In and out were they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they didn't hang around very long. But then there was an after party for the first night.
Was that Lars's night?
No, I think he was night 2.
No, he was definitely night 1 because
Psycho Stick was night 2.
He signed the cartridge night 1 that we ended up giving away on day 2.
Okay, that's right.
He wasn't there for day 2. So, there was a green room where the different celebrity types were hanging out and having Buffalo Wild Wings and all this shit. And it was that's where all the money they were supposed to get. The guy was supposed to. We'll get there too. Don't worry. But that's where the money went. If you're wondering, it went to the B-dubs.
Please tell me you're making that up.
No, I'm not making it up. No, I'm not making it up, Brando. I mean,
that's legit.
They barely had it. They didn't make that much money from that con, dude.
No.
And they didn't pay any of the people back. The bands had to threaten him. We'll get into that. So we're in the green room, and
I wasn't involved with that.
No, you weren't. But I was in the green room hanging out, and I ended up becoming friends with this dude, MC Lars.
Hold on.
Just podcast guys, you were well.
Hold on. You totally froze and electric catted your way through who you became friends with. So let's go back one second.
So you can hear me now?
Yes.
I was in the green room with you, I do believe, or you were in and out. And I started talking to this dude who was one of the talent for the night, MC Lars.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a lit rap artist. He actually created the genre, literary rap. And he's a very interesting character. He's a nerd. He does nerdcore music as well. And like, hey man, it would be really cool if you sign this cartridge, because he used to wear a gold Zelda cart around his neck.
Yep.
And I said, it would be really cool if you sign this Ninja Turtle cartridge that we have. We're going to give it away tomorrow. And he's like, oh my God, I loved this game. And I was like, yeah, I happen to have an extra copy, so we're giving it away. He's like, that's super cool. He signed it. I think it's on our Instagram, still a picture of it to this day. But like, we chatted a bunch, and I was like, dude, it would be really cool to throw you at the show. This is about to take a very interesting twist, because the future scope of what's about to happen blow tenfold in the world, and it's really kind of interesting and cool. So me and Lars stay in touch for many years. We still email frequently. I'm with him and shit, and he just had his first kid and all that stuff.
Yep.
So shout out to him for
that.
Well, kid's like 6 weeks old.
I just saw it today. Well, but yeah, 6 weeks. Okay, yeah. You're right. Future. Yeah. All right. I saw it today, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, today 6 weeks.
Yeah,
ago.
congrats to MC Lars.
So that's pretty tip for him, but Lars is like, yeah, you can intro me, that'd be awesome. So I'm standing around waiting for it, and then this other dude who's in one of the other bands, who happens to be a band called the Yavin 4, on stage introduces, this is MC fucking Lars or whatever, and I'm like, motherfucker, you took my spot. Like, that was my one thing. Like, I had a whole thing I was gonna say, like it was gonna be some quick thing. That guy and I are actually now really, 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 really good friends. And before coronavirus, we were supposed to be going to his wedding. That's not happening now, because wedding's not happening in July because of coronavirus. So anyways, so that's Benny No Good.
Oh,
so
cool.
They had played, the Yavin 4 had played. Yeah. So, and then like 5 Year Mission had played, and Andy Fark is in that band. And then, so we'll future trip to that later. I just want to plant those seeds now. So yeah, we hung out for a little bit and watched a little bit of Lars' set, and then we were like, we were gonna go. He shouted at us, "Podcasting dudes, my dudes," or whatever on the stage, which was really cool, you know, and like made me nice and special. I think you a little bit too. But then we got the fuck out of there first night, and I just remember going like, oh, if that was day one, what the fuck is it gonna be like, you know? Like it
Yeah.
was like an Independence Day when it's like July 1st after all the destruction, it just like pops up July 2, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen on July 2? I'm not sure, you know.
Well, you see, yeah, we did dip a little early, and that's because it was approaching 11 o'clock, 11:30, if you will. And I had to go all the way back to my mom's house, which is about 30 minutes away, 30, 40 minutes away. And we had to be back there at like 7:30 in the morning. And
Oh yeah, fucking early to get the ball rolling. You had like a 11 o'clock call time for like an 11:15 or something.
yeah, no. And so like we did dip a little early. You know, we didn't want to. We wanted to stay and watch the full MCLR set, but we stayed for most of it. And but we got out, and then I remember going all the way home, you know, back to my mom's house where I grew up and where I, you know, where she still lives, and pulling in, and it's super, you know, I've been up. I mean, it was a Friday, so I had to work that day, which means that I was up from, you know, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, I was tired, and
He was beat.
I remember getting to my mom's house, getting out of the car, getting to my, you know, my trunk to open up and get my stuff out to, you know, go inside and go to bed. And I remember just like I got freaked out for a second because it was so quiet. My hometown where I grew up it's got like 500, 600 people compared to like the, you know, where I live now. It's got like several thousand, right? You know, it's not the biggest city in the state by any stretch of the imagination, but there's still way more noise here, and I'm
way more foot traffic.
The decibels were. I mean, this is midnight in my hometown where there's nothing but the occasional semi truck that rolls through, and there was nothing, and I'm like looking around. And I could hear about a block away, some people were hanging out, like in their garage, and I could hear them talking.
Damn, you felt like a spy.
I'm just like, this is weird, man. Whoa. And, you know, so I go inside, and my mom's boyfriend was still up, you know, and I go in there and pretty much like go straight to bed. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I crash at somebody else's house and I don't have a fan, it's super, super noticeable. Super noticeable.
You have to have noise to sleep. See, that's why I've become, listen to me. I'm grateful I haven't been able to do it in a while now, and Mr. Owen has taken over my staying space, obviously, but like I game room when I would come down and visit you, and I was always lucky that you had a nice TV that I could hook up my laptop or whatever device to and stream something, because for me it's not a fan, it's a TV. I have to fall asleep because I'm already partially deaf, so it anyways. I sleep with my good ear in a pillow, so it's like
yeah, like kind of like a dull noise as you just completely froze. We'll see how long it takes them.
Did I just lose you, or you froze? Or not sure.
Well, no, you
Looks
froze.
like you froze, or I froze, maybe.
I can hear you now.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
There you are. Yeah. Okay. Show's back. Anyway, yes. Okay. So like you sleep with your good ear down, you know, and you got your bad ear up, and it's like a dull, just like ambient. Now here's the thing: I've actually got to a point where I kind of need something now other than the white noise. It's getting real bad. I'm gonna have to have a full on like a symphony that Sarah helps out with just come and be in my room to play, and this loud echo chamber for me to be able to go sleep. Because at first it started off with a fan, and so now we have two fans in the room. My fan is basically a wind tunnel now, and I got like when I needed to replace my fan, I got this like really powerful one. I'm like, I love it. It's loud. Anyway, I have to put earbuds in. I have these earbuds that and now, so check this out.
You sleep with earbuds in?
Yes.
Is that hard? Like I would be afraid one would find its way all the way inside of my ear hole.
I haven't done
or
that.
that I would lose it and sleep on top of it and crunch it and like have like, oh well, I woke up with this weird pain in my back that will never go away because I slept on a fucking earbud. Great.
Occasionally they find their way around my neck and I don't notice it and I'm like, okay. my phone, this one right here, it's the Galaxy Note 10 Plus or whatever.
Sure.
There's no headphone jack on it. They went fucking Apple on me. And I had to make a decision. When I was getting a new phone. Because I wanted something big. I'm the dude that likes a bigger screen on my phone. Because I watch a lot of YouTube on my phone.
For sure.
You know, so I like to have that. I know some people are like, no, that's way too big. No, I want the biggest screen that I can fit in my pocket now as a phone. So I had a note. I've had a couple of notes, and I switched and went and just got the regular Galaxy, and I went back to the Note because I like the extra RAM and to get the S Pen's pretty nice, and I use that once in a while. However, with this, it has no headphone jack. The headphones go through the USB-C, which is fine most of the time, but I cannot charge and listen to headphones at the same time.
Dumb.
Okay, so that's one reason why I purchased these Bluetooth headphones that I'm using right now, because I can use them wirelessly. That's cool for doing dishes. I cannot explain the sheer stupidity of trying to do dishes with earbuds. They always fall out, and you end up pushing them back in. And your hands are all wet, and you're like, what the fuck?
Pay to the ass. You're running to go get. You can't have paper towel now. It's a hot commodity.
I know. It's rare.
It was a hot commodity. I don't know in this world if we're future tripping if it still is.
Right.
Maybe now we're paying our bills and fucking bounty.
So, I have an old phone.
Sure.
Now that I have permanently set up on my nightstand. It's charged all the time. I think it's like the Note 3 or whatever. It's one that it was before we leased and gave them back all the time. And
you just have the Wi-Fi set up on that motherfucker with Spotify, don't you?
Well, I've got podcast and YouTube set up on that thing. So I have regular headphones and earbuds hooked up to that. And when I go to bed, I lay down. You know, I set my alarms on this phone and get it set up over there, and then I grab the other phone, grab the earbuds. All right, so what am I on? What am I doing? Because sometimes I'll watch YouTube videos that are like really long, and
sure.
And usually it's a podcast, something like this, or maybe it's like a Twitch streamer playing a game, and I turn it down pretty much on the lowest setting to where I can barely hear it. And then I lay there in bed and just try and get comfortable, and sometimes I'll focus on it. What really sucks, and I got to be careful what I listen to, because sometimes I'll get too interested in what I'm listening to, and I have to switch it to something else or turn it off, because I'm like,
I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep because I need to know.
Yeah, I gotta listen to the rest of this. But man, this is a long ass fucking tangent and deviation for just talking about me going home, because I didn't have I didn't have that. I had to lay there in this quiet ass room going, I have to go to sleep, and it's hot, and all I have is a small ass fan.
Put it on my balls.
So I fell asleep. I woke up. So surprisingly, I was up without a fuss or too many snoozes. Hopped in the shower and pretty much left, and went straight back down for Saturday. That's when we decided we were going to host the panels. We had to decide. We were going to do Journey to Wrestling that day. We were going to do a Game Addicts that day. We were going to do a Live 100. But we
had to host the gaming tournaments. I was going to do some Mario Kart tournament during the whole fucking thing as well.
So we get there. And we get told we're not doing a live show. Do you remember this?
I don't actually remember this. Please re-enlighten me and piss me off again. Because I feel like I was probably enraged initially.
So there was someone who was supposed to perform on Friday night who didn't get to perform. It was like some anime some gal that sang the intro to Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
And they misbooked her. They thought she was supposed to perform on Saturday.
And she was there on Friday,
Yep,
and then
and
she was like, what the fuck, and got all mad.
Because her plan was to be there on Friday night, perform Friday night, be there for the con on Saturday, and leave right after the con, right?
Yeah.
And so, it was something like that. So then, like, the only open spot was
Ours.
our spot.
And they said, I remember this now. They told us, they're like, now if it doesn't seem like she's coming back, it's your guys's, right?
Yeah.
Was the deal.
And so we literally were up in the air until we were like getting closer about whether or not we were actually going to be able to do it.
Of course.
Right. As it were, right? As it it wouldn't be a true Journey into Comics podcast if there was not some question of doubt.
Bumps along the way.
Exactly. And so we had to get ready for for doing our panels. Namely, I had to get ready to do my Star Trek panel, which you gave me a lot of praise for. I was beyond nervous and out of my element for that. I bullshitted my way through a Star Trek panel. I tried to prep as much as I could for Deep Space Nine. Had I been a super fan of Deep Space Nine, it would have been a walk to the park. But I'm not, and I was like, okay, so I got this actor. Okay, so I tried to plan it out, almost kind of like you're trying to plan out a set or a show, trying to ask this question, and I'm really relying on their ability to just tell stories.
Which is what it actually partially ended up being. But the way it worked was you were able, and I think this is something that somehow we have the interview factor, where like you were hearing them converse and you would be like, oh, great question here. Let me pull it out and ask in the moment.
Yes. But right before, literally like an hour before our panel or 2 hours before, they threw in Philo to that same panel.
Because Deanna Troy canceled, right?
Yeah, she was supposed to be there, and she canceled. Yeah. Deanna Troy. I can't remember.
Early onset COVID back then.
Wow. Went
Terrible joke.
Went there. Anyway, she backed out, and so originally it was just going to be the two, and then they threw Philo on there. But I wasn't told that until like literally an hour or two before. So now I had to figure out, how is Philo to have anything to do with Star Trek?
Other than his tiny little loosely woven one story about when he worked as an FX guy.
So I went and like during that morning when we made rounds, and we actually split up a little bit and we did our own thing for a little bit.
Yeah, I made a terrible fuck up to a now deceased guy. I feel super bad still to this day. I walked up to Robert Axelrod and I was like, hey, David Axelrod. And he was like, it's Robert. And I was like, oh, shit, that's the politics guys, David Axelrod. Oh, fuck. My bad. Oh,
what's funny
shit.
is that you ended up doing the exact same thing at the first the other one. The
Lafikon?
Lafikon, that's the one.
Yeah, with Andy Cordy.
Andy Cordy. And you just completely introduced him like, and you were in such and such. He goes, it's Andy Cordy. Except that time you were on stage. Oh my God. Anyway, so I went and introduced myself to Aaron Eisenberg and the blonde co-host. I can't remember her name. All this time I could have been sitting here looking it up, and I just don't.
Here, you keep talking. I'll do it.
Anyway, she was. Yeah, I went and introduced myself to them, saying I'm going to be hosting your panel. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Brandon. Is there anything that like how do you guys
to talk about?
Yeah, it's my first time hosting a panel, so I just want to introduce myself, and then and they were really nice and cordial, really super nice people, And I asked them, is there anything that I can get you guys? And I believe Aaron asked for something. I said, I will get that in just a minute and be right back down to you. And then, so I had to go to the green room for that. And then I went and met with Philo and asked about I'm like, so what's your story with Star Trek? And he told me a little bit, and then he actually fed me questions. He goes, ask me this. I got a good story for that. I'm like, I will. Okay, cool. He was super cool. He kind of understood where I was coming from, whereas I was like, I know about Star Trek, but I really don't, like you guys, I don't know, you know? It's like I don't know what to ask. And so big props to Philo for helping me out with that and help me feed that, because what was really neat is that Philo is such a good storyteller that, you know, he was able to help guide some of that himself. Whereas, like, you know, Aaron and the other gal did not know him. And so, like, they were intrigued by some of his work and all that stuff behind the scenes as well, because that is like, you know, for these guys, they do, you know, they would do the cons and they have their stories and blah, 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 you know, and they're sometimes, you know, you could definitely tell they were going through the motions and telling a story that they've been told a bunch of times for entertainment value. But now here's this new cog in the wheel and Philo, and they had no idea or any sort of interaction with him before. And I had another guy up there who was standing right behind me, and I was up there standing there wishing I had a place to sit down. I'm like, my gosh, because like I wasn't nervous about being on stage. Yeah. That is something that has not been an issue for me ever. And I don't know if that goes all the way back to me being a part of the puppet troupe, having to perform in front of people, you know, way back in fourth grade. And then of course we did, you know, we had Draxus and we played in front of people. I think the only time I was ever truly nervous playing in front of people was at the skate park, the first skate thing where we were up there on a stage. And then I got up there and we started playing and I was a little nervous. And then I think after the first song I looked up and then I noticed that everybody was kind of scattered and doing their own thing. I'm like, okay, I'm not nervous anymore. So being on stage has never been like, I wasn't nervous to be up there. I was nervous to do a bad job. Up there. So I was like, I was constantly trying to pay attention to what they were talking about. The dude behind me was wanting to ask questions. And so I think I might have let him ask a question. He wanted to ask questions, but he was afraid to get up there and talk to me and I had to ask a question. And then of course, we were leading towards, we got to do JIC 100 and that was going to be next. You were out there and you were watching, you had the board ready to go. You were talking with the guy at the board. Just trying to figure out how to line it in. Like you guys were trying to figure out logistics and shit.
Totally worked exactly how I wanted it to. I still can't believe I pulled it off.
Right. And so there was a guy, I don't know who it was, but somebody came up and said, I'm like, crap, like, are we done? Like, shit, I need to wrap this up. That person who signaled that to me,
yeah,
wasn't trying to tell me time was up.
What were they signaling to you, Brando?
I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know if you ever got the result of what he was doing.
I asked, and he's like, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that you had a time limit. Yes, I know I have a damn time limit.
I was trying to push towards it. That's right. You cut your panel off a little short.
I did, and
15 minutes, right?
Yeah, it was like 15 minutes short, and because I was told don't look at your phone while you're up there. Whatever you do, don't look at your phone. And I had my phone in my hand so I could look at the time, and I wasn't actively looking at my phone. In fact, there's a picture that you took of me up there that has me with my phone in my hand, and I'm looking at them, and they're sort of talking. That pissed me off. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why would you come out there doing this? Like, time. And
we're in a band. Every time we've seen this, it's get the fuck off stage.
Yeah. Like, seriously. Okay, like, combined, okay, like, it was almost like 6 years of being in a band and playing on stage. You know, you have a time slot. You know, sometimes you get screwed over on your time. Whether or not the last band took too long to tear down, you took too long to set up. They think that you're done, or you should be done. And you know you shouldn't be. We've had that, and I know you've had that.
It all.
You know, and I know you've had that with Draxus and with Walk Among Us. There's been issues. That's always going to be a part of the business. I thought we were done. I'm like, oh crap, I need to wrap it up. They were telling a story, and I was trying to find a way to bring it home, and I brought it home. We had it good. It was good. Shake hands. Thank you so much. It was great. Awesome. Cool. I breathed like a, okay, hard part's done. Hard part is done for me. And then you're like, so why'd you cut that short for? I'm like, dude, told me that was like, oh, like you still had like 15 more minutes. Like, what the fuck? All right.
And didn't I think the next words out of my mouth were, well, now we've got extra time for JIC.
Something like, well, we needed to set up. And I remember distinctly like us getting set up, us having to track Wes down to make sure he was going to be there because Wes is going to be our third guy on the show. And then test the levels out, make sure they're going to the board all right. We got that done. And the next thing I remember is the dude walking up with Jimmy John's, little Jimmy John sandwiches.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, could you guys come over to the loudspeaker and like give a shout out to Jimmy John's? Tell people to go in there and get something to eat. I'm like, hell yeah, I will. So I did. And they're like, hey man, you want some sandwiches? I'm like, yeah, give me some sandwiches. So I'm up there eating because my mouth is so dry. I'm like, I need something. I am like, I was scared to death up there as far as like not messing up. And if you guys go back and listen to the beginning of Journey into Comics, episode 100, you could kind of hear it in my voice. I'm still coming down from adrenaline.
Yeah.
I'm talking a little faster, and I'm just relieved. Because us sitting down to do the podcast
was the easiest thing we did all weekend.
Absolutely.
It was simple. Even, live podcast in front of people, handled. No nerves for me. We were in the pocket. We did everything we planned. We did the giveaway, the question and answer, the fucking taco recreation, like riffed on movies that, at the time hadn't come out, riffed on movies that had just come out. Like I think Civil War was just about to be popping off or had just popped off and some shit. Like
I remember X-Men 3 Apocalypse had come out in May. So that's around the time frame that we were in.
And then Jason had sent us in a random question, a battle of was it Batman, Green Lantern, or Green Arrow?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And I remember Tony, our old bandmate Tony, showed up and was there. We had another friend,
Daniel Connor.
Daniel Connor showed up. A guy that
yes,
went to high
film
school
of it.
Yeah,
we
somewhere.
need to reach out to him and be like, give it to me.
Right. Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah, because he was trying to like aspire to be like a filmmaker or something. Like
I think he also has footage from the Power Ranger panel as well.
Oh, does he? Because I know he said he was going to try to be there on time, and I think he was there. I think he showed up right before we started, and did film it. So that's cool. But what I also the other thing that I remember is that when we started, and like we weren't advertised,
at all,
nothing. Nobody knew who Journey to Comics were. We didn't have shirts. We didn't have anything. We had nothing. The only thing that we had was getting our word out there on our social media saying that we are going to be there and do this here. So the people who were there, who were walking the crowd, had no idea. So when we sat down to start our show, there was one person sitting in that crowd.
Tony.
It was Tony. And then the sound guy. Oh, man. And we just started doing the show. But what was the cool story about it is that over the course of us sitting there doing it, we were just talking, and we were loud enough that people could hear, and we started getting a trickle in, more people. We had some more people show up. We had some people from the bands kind of come over and sit down, and we interacted with them as far as like ask questions, this and that, and it was a highlight of my podcasting experience.
Same.
If there is a single 100% positive of this weekend, it was that.
For sure.
Episode 100. It doesn't sound the best because we didn't have enough time to 100% get it ready, because there's a little bit of it's almost like way over saturated with sound.
It's like very much like that.
It's kind of hard to listen to, especially
Yeah,
now.
the level didn't get tweaked down a bunch. Needed to be.
But you know what? It was the very first live show we ever did. I absolutely, as I said, go back and listen to the beginning of it. I'm just like, you can hear it in my voice. I was so stressed out and so relieved and so like, I'm just like, hey man, yeah, I'm doing good. How are you, man? And you're like, doing good, or something like that. And then of course we did the show. Big, hats off to Wes for doing that. That was the culmination. That's what was like there and good, because then, as you said, the night before we had that cool interaction with MC Lars in the green room, hanging out, eating some cold.
He did a bumper for us.
He did.
I forgot all about that, but yeah, that happened that night too.
He did the bumper for us. I think Rita, the gal that played Rita, did a bumper for us.
She did that Saturday after the panel.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'll talk about that interaction in a minute, because
Sure.
the panel. My experience on the panel, was a little bit different. I knew these cats. I knew the stories and the history of the Power Rangers and stuff. It's a big part of my life. So going in, I knew kind of pointed questions, things I wanted to ask, angles and perspectives I wanted to play off of. But I was also very much looking to ask questions and do things they've not heard. I didn't want to be that standard guy. And I hate to say it, the dude that did the interview, the panel with me, he's dead. He died.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you know that Jesse guy. Yeah, he died.
Really?
They just found him one day gone. Like, he had natural cause, passed away. It was crazy.
Dude, that's awful. That's awful to hear that, because he was like our age.
Yeah, but I guess he had like a history of medical conditions that were underlying, so it was, a surprise, but also not a shock to his family. But he was kind of like your guy, and that he was a little bit nervous and didn't know what exactly to ask. And he was a super fan and had like episode question, like, do you remember on episode 437 when this was happening and this happened and then this happened? And then they're like, wow, you have a great memory. So I remember just being up there being loose as fuck, dude. I don't know if I had smoked something real good before or what, but like, I was just in the pocket, and this was my first taste with people who had some celebrity. And how am I going to actually react to an interview on a higher level?
Mm-hmm.
And I really accredit my willingness to listen to what people are saying and interact in a conversation with people, as opposed to try to always have a counter thought, as a great way to interview. So going up there, I got Kerrigan to talk about stuff he's never talked about, when a lady showed him a porn of her and her boyfriend banging it out in the Power Ranger helmets, and that he was like shocked that had happened, but that she wanted Goldar to bang her like that. And he was like, oh my God. Then he cut the story off, which means my guess is he probably went up and fucked that girl. I'm just saying. But I'm Goldar, take the Goldar. Like, I don't know if that happened, but and then like, you get to have interesting perspectives and conversations with Robert Axelrod, because he played so many characters just beyond doing Zed. He was Finster,
yeah,
and he had a history in Digimon and other things, so I could cue off of other things and pull in to the overall base of this. And Carla Perez, I think was her name, that played Rita. She was a sweet lady, and it was easy to talk to her. We had talked a lot through the thing. She had asked me for stuff in times. I was her staff guy, as it were, So that was a really fun experience. And I thought, like, man, we hit it out of the park. There's not much left to do. I went up. You guys had started, I think, Game Addicts, or were just finishing Game Addicts, or were amidst Game Addicts, or I'm just going to keep saying Game Addicts until I figure out where you were in it. It was at some point in that.
All right, so while you were on stage, I can't remember what all I was doing, because I was out there for like maybe just like 5 minutes of it. I'll be honest with you, and long enough for me to take the picture, because if there's one thing that I took from that, it was being a little biffed that you guys brought chairs up to sit down in. Where I could have used that. I'm up there with
smarter, not harder, my friend.
I'm up there with a microphone, like nervously, like pacing my feet, going, "Oh my gosh, I got to stand up here." And you're just over there.
But dude, I think that you informed me like that you were pissed off you didn't have chairs, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm bringing chairs up, dude." Like, fuck the rules. We're doing it our way. And at that point, listen, at that point, like in the con, at that point, we had already known it was a shit show that was off the rails. There were rumblings of other shit that had happened night previous, night of. You know, I learned later down the road, just last year, like I said, I had been meeting of the minds with the dude Benny No Good from the Yavin 4 and Andy Fark from 5 Year Mission. You know, we were all playing a show together, and it was like really weird to reminisce about Villains Con again, but it was just like, you know, they went and chased down dude who owned Villains Con and made him give them money. Like they threatened his fucking life. Like, this is not a fucking game. I drove, because they lived in Indianapolis, so they drove 2 hours,
Yeah.
you know, to do a show to not get paid. Oh, fuck that. I'll slit a fucker's throat, dude. Like, that's, I mean, you know, it's on at that point. So there was words. They eventually got paid. They went on their merry way. Lars got a little bit of pay, but then that's like where things start to really fall off the rails, because we start learning that people aren't getting their fulfillments, and people are supposed to be getting a little bit every day, and they're actually getting nothing any day. None of their expenses are being taken care of. And it's just like, they paid their own hotel. They paid their own flight. They paid their own travel to get to the fucking David S. Palmer. Then they paid for their fucking meal in the middle of lunch. Then they fucking had to pay to leave. You know, like, so much money is spent that you don't think about that these fucking guys essentially robbed them of, because there was, you know, people coming in and out, and there were people that did give money at the door. But the way it was operated, the way the whole thing played out, you know, you said it best. It needed to be one day, keep it in a smaller place. It doesn't need to be in a huge arena. You could have picked a slightly upscaled fucking, like, almost like Carnahan Hall leveled place, you know, to shout out LaFiCon, to be the next step. Could you imagine if we would have been able to do Villains Con in Carnahan?
Yeah. Well, it would have felt like a more natural progression from their store to that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Instead, they try to blow it up, and you know,
and then it just looked like a cheap hokey flea market. I'm sorry.
Well, they had they just had what they had at Carnahan, like or not on Carnahan. I'm sorry, at David S. Palmer at the hockey arena. That's all they just had what they had. Those cheap ass like curtains and PVC pipes and I mean, granted, you go to a lot of cons and it's the same kind of thing, but I remember distinctly there was something needed answering. Something needed an answer. And I was with Wes, and we needed an answer on something. I don't remember what that was. That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, sure. A lot of shit has happened.
Oddly enough, our episode of this, you realize, is going to air. Okay, so like that one, that one.
Almost to the day of the fucking anniversary.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh man, we're too good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we planned that. Of course we did.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Anywho's it? We needed an answer.
Wow, like within a few days. That's crazy.
I know, dude. Like, again,
I can't get over it.
This was on a whim. Okay, that we decided to do this episode
6 weeks in advance in the past.
in the past. Anyway, we needed an answer, and we found like because it was co-owned, right? Villains was co-owned.
Mm-hmm.
There was like the main dude, and there's this other guy. And I don't know their names, unfortunately.
CP is one of them. He was the main dude.
Okay, so he's a guy that he has rubbed people the wrong way in the past, as far as money.
Oh,
goes.
he doesn't just rub people the wrong way. He has aggressively jerked them off the wrong way. You know.
Oh goddamn! So
it's true.
So we found the other guy, and he doesn't really have an answer. He said, he's gonna have to answer you, and we cannot find him anywhere. And this
one could that day.
No. I mean, this was on Saturday. We could not find him anywhere. Anywhere. And we're like, where? What the? We went. This place. It's a hockey arena. It's not.
It's a circle. It's not that big.
But like, it's not even like NHL hockey arena. This is like local hockey arena.
College level, bro.
Sure, it's. I would say, as far as arena goes, it's probably on the smaller side for arenas, because it's smaller than the Assembly Hall or what State Farm, whatever it is now. Smaller than that place, and we cannot find him. We eventually find him tucked away in a corner backstage where we aren't. Okay? Where no one is, with his phone plugged into a wall. He was on his phone. That was the first clue to me that there are problems. Not only that, but I kind of had a altercation is not the right word for it. Kerrigan Mahan, the guy that played Goldar, got irritated towards me
because of him.
Because of the thing.
Sure.
Okay. He was upset about something, wanted something, and could not get people. And
I remember he wanted lunch, and he wanted someone to drive him to go get some fucking lunch, and no one would get him a ride or whatever. I think was the beef.
I just remember he was looking for the main guy, and I said, I have no idea where he is, and he was frustrated, and he kind of went off. And
did he do it as Goldar?
No, no, but he was upset, and
sure,
to be fair, I completely understand why he's upset.
Fuck, I'm getting upset too.
And I said, I'm sorry. I will try and find him. And of course, I never did. I never did.
Spoiler alert: he's still not found. He was not founded.
He's not found. I said I would go look for him, and I said in the meantime, you see somebody else with this shirt, ask them too. Yeah, and I said, because we had a hard time tracking him down earlier, and he was back there on his phone. And I said, I will go back and I will try and find him again, but ask other people, please, because with everything going on, there's a lot of people. I will try to help you, but please, by all means, if someone else can help you first, do it. And he's like, okay. And then he walked away. And then it was actually towards the end of the day, before I was ready to leave, I ran into him again near the green room. And I said, hey, Kerrigan, did you ever get that? He goes, yeah, I did. He goes, I want to apologize for the way that I came off towards you. He goes, I know that's not your fault. He goes, you're just trying to help out and you're a volunteer. And I said, buddy, I had somebody asked me if I wanted to help out and be a part of a con, and I said yes. And I said, after today, I have seen every way not to run a con. He goes,
yeah, here's the handbook on how not to run it,
And he sort of just gave me one of those. He goes, yep. and I said, you have a good one, bud. He goes, you too. And he walked away. And so, no, it was bad, because you started getting that. When I said that target on your back, as I said before, I'm sure that all con volunteers and workers who have that on, it's like, you are help me, you come here, blah, blah, blah. And then you got people who might be in bad moods and take it out. There's all that.
Their day that has nothing to do with you has just slammed into you at full force, 90 miles a second.
And I kind of felt that from Kerrigan. And I wasn't angry at him, but I kind of okay, dude, all right. Okay, you can. But also, I did not know the other thing until a little bit later, with everything going on, with the whole
De Niro, which we're gonna get there. I'm glad you bring it up, because the first time I hear the rumblings of this was Carla, the lady that played Rita. I was chatting with her in the green room Saturday, day 2, and she's like, so have you heard? And I was like, what's up? And she's like, we're not getting paid. And I knew I wasn't fucking getting paid. I was a volunteer. So I knew what she meant, though, as in the proverbial we, the celebrities. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, the guy's not paying us. Like, I don't know if we're getting paid later, but we're supposed to get paid and we're not getting paid. And I was like, yeah, that's not right. That's not cool. And she goes, yeah. And a bunch of people have already decided we're not coming back on Sunday. Like, there were a lot of people that had things planned for Sunday. There were Sunday activities, as it were, planned. So I was like, oh, that's frustrating. And I like tried to bring her back, and I was like, well, hey, can I just say thanks, for a really fun interview? It was it was a really good, cool blast, a great experience to have my first panel go so well. And she was like, you were a natural. It was great, And I was like, would you do a bumper? And I don't think her bumper ever officially saw the light of day, because she said things really kind of weird. She didn't like, I wish I would have had a piece of paper to just hand her, like, here's the fucking script.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
she said it as I said it to her, but she didn't say it in the right order, so we had to kind of make some edits to how it was done or whatever.
Yeah, we tried to make it sound 100 like kind of the way that we were thinking, and like it was on the cuff and on the fly. That's nothing on her.
Yeah.
But when I started hearing those rumblings about the whole De Niro thing, about people not getting paid, that's when I definitely felt the mood in the room change.
Across the board, it was just a dark cloud had moved over top of David S. Palmer and was shitting dildos. Just
And
like
I felt like if I had that shirt on, I was getting glared at.
Yeah, because we were now the enemy, and we went from volunteer. Because honestly, here's the really sad truth. You have people like Kerrigan and Aaron and all these different people that were there. The dude from The Flash was there, and there was like a bunch of other people from the dude from The Flash was also in Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Rook, I think his name was. But like they couldn't discern, hey, the guy that told me that he was going to pay me is this guy that has this shirt on, this dude's fucking friend who's fucking me, who knows that his friend is fucking me.
Mm-hmm.
Or is this just some Joe Schmo like you and I just happen to be? Because we were like the most outsiders of that con who got the most inside scoop. Like, we were the documentary crew, the film crew. I wish we would have been rolling. If I would have known it was going to be that much of a shit show, I would have had a documentary crew filming for the whole thing, because Villains COD 2016 could have been a fucking movie with the amount of insanity that went on. Amidst all of the craziness, you were doing Game Addicts. During that time, I think I was doing, after I finished my panel, I came up and did a little bit of Mario Kart. I was challenging everybody, giving people 15 and 20-second leads and just smoking them like that was nothing, because I just really love that game. And it's been something I've loved since I was a kid. So I threw the open challenge, and I was kind of cocky about it. I'm not going to even pretend, but I backed it up. I mean, it didn't Kid Rock say it ain't bragging if you do it and you back it up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that was fun. And then we did a journey into wrestling with Tony.
Okay, so I actually looked it up.
Sure.
I actually looked up to see what episodes were recorded that weekend. So that way you almost have kind of like a trilogy, if you will.
Oh my God, yeah, from
episodes.
The inside, yeah.
Well, I mean, if anybody who ever listens to this show decides, well, that's kind of neat, I want to go listen to that. So it's Journey into Comics 100. It is Game Addicts Episode 3. Episode 3, which is entitled, wow, it just reset on me. Let me get... Episode 3 is E3 2016 Preview / Tangents. And I had Tony and Daniel Connor on.
Yeah.
As guests on that show. Neither one of them had ever really been on a podcast before, by the way.
Or probably since.
Maybe. Well, actually, I looked up Journey into Wrestling. Do you want to take a guess at what that one was called?
Oh God, it was episode 3, I think.
It was episode 3 as well. Season 1, episode 3. Let's Split.
Oh yeah, because of the draft had just happened, and actually, also in that episode, we talked about the brand newly debuting. Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, the whole
Broken Hardy.
Broken Matt Hardy had just debuted in TNA or Impact Wrestling, and Tony was on that show too.
Yep.
Hanging out. So we did. So that's like, I want to say we did Game Addicts first, and then we did JIW.
Because we did JIW after I came back from my panel. I was on the come down from the panel. we had some more gameage. There were some people and, other tournaments. There were like some fighting games and shit going on. We got our shit and didn't stay for the bands for night 2 at all. We got the fuck out. I know we dipped. There's no way we stayed for the bands.
I don't remember. I think
because I actually think you left a little bit before me because you're like, I think I'm just ready to dip.
I did. I wanted to stay, but I was really freaking tired from the last 2 days, and I think
grossed out that you were wearing a LaFiCon shirt or a Villains Con shirt.
Yeah. Trust me. With everything going on, I already said I wasn't gonna be there Sunday, and I decided that like once the actual con was over, I left. I didn't leave beforehand. I stayed for the whole con, and just so you guys know, we were kind of in this side room, and I don't remember what they called their group. Do you remember?
The Broke Ass Podcast Network, a BP.
Oh yeah,
something.
It was something like that.
BPGN, Broke Podcast Gamer Network, some shit.
Anyway, so with the main bowl of the hockey arena being the floor, if you walk up the stands, right, walk all the way up the stands, and you past that, you have your first set of like doors, and if you go into the next hallway over, there's a doorway to go into that room, which we were tucked away into a corner, and it was a pretty big room. It was like a conference type room, sure. But like I remember, that's where we recorded the Game Addicts podcast and Journey into Wrestling. We were in one corner. We had the video games in the middle, and then in the other corner, pretty much the people who like Wes and some other people were like pretty much running the show. That's what I want to say very vehemently here. Anything that happened that was good at Villains Con 2016, as far as the panels, as far as the things that were planned, were all done because of the work and dedication that these guys put in. Because essentially you had a guy who was putting on a con who had nothing to do with it.
He was just like, hey, I want a con. You guys do it.
He basically, they did all the footwork. They did all the planning. They did all the prep as far as making sure everything went down. And then when there was mix-up, he blamed them.
Yeah.
Because there was somebody who made a mistake. And when you have that's going to happen, and especially when you are putting on a con and you are so detracted from it as he was, because it was obvious being a part of it, he was detracted from it. He was nowhere to be found ever, like other than that one time. I only ever saw him twice. Once he was actually on the floor, and I was shocked because that was later on, which I was like, I'm pretty sure he is on the floor. After finding out later, I probably know what he was doing on the floor. Everybody was like, where is my money?
Yep. He wrote some personal checks his ass couldn't cash.
And I guess it had some issue to where I guess he thought that they were going to give him money from the gate, like to pay them. And that's not the way it works.
You pay your talent up front and then make your revenue back at the door because you put your effort into it to market your shit properly, which again, they did not.
No, they did not. So, be that as it may, you stayed for a little bit on Saturday.
Were you there for the shit? Now, I think you just alluded to it, the somebody getting blamed because somebody got yelled at in a manner that I was not cool with. And ever since that moment, that's when I was fucking done. And I didn't in so many words tell the person that was at the lead of screaming at my friend to, in so many words, fuck themselves, but they can still fuck themselves for how they treat that person.
Tell that story.
Okay, so let's just go into it and go with names and talk some real shit. And we're going to talk about future tripping and karma and whatever. Hey, man, it's real. It's 4 years later. So Wes did something. I don't remember if he called a lady or was trying to get something figured out with somebody's ride or something. Wes was trying his damnedest to do what they asked. I was with Wes. I heard what he was told to do. he tried to execute said plan. Then they came, they being Aaron Fuckbag Martin, and decided to, I'm sorry, that he like, he just, I had a long thread with that guy, and over time, the thread wears very thin. So he screamed at Wes and said some terrible things. You stupid dumb fuck, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You can't even do a simple thing right, you dumb mother. He was like shaming him. And like I could see that Wes was on the verge of like crying and being very upset, but holding it together because it was what he was used to. Behind the scenes, spoiler alert that not a lot of people know. I used to run around with Wes. Wes knows you because of me.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, Wes and Aaron used to run around in my fucking apartment, my friends back in the day. And Aaron has always treated Wes like that. And I have never been okay with it. So here's a fucked up thing. Aaron was living with that Jesse dude. Aaron is the guy that found his friend dead. Like, that's the real fucked up dark story. And that drove that dude into like apparently some sort of spiral that he's not ever recovered from. And I don't wish ill will on him or no shit like that. But in the craziest turn of events, like how you treat other people in some weird manifestation will come back and haunt you. And his and I'm sure Wes wasn't the only guy who was being called all kinds of crazy awful names, and just like how we treat Dick is with love and adoration, but we also rib him because we know he can take it. This wasn't a gentle rib with love. This was like barbs meant to hurt you.
Yeah.
And it was just, and then that's when that was the moment I was like, well, when I leave LaFiCon, I'm not turning around.
Villains Con.
Back. Villains Con. I did it again.
Yeah, you did.
Villains Con. We've done more LaFiCons than Villains Con, so it's in my head,
Well, let's just say that I want to just allude that no con is probably going to run smoothly, but the simple fact that they have had multiple LaFiCons shows you that they have something better going on than what was going on here, because I don't think I was present because I don't remember that altercation. I remember hearing about it. No, I remember somebody else, and I want to say it was Jesse who messed up the scheduling or something.
He's the reason that lady that was supposed to sing the Sailor Moon thing got all fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But unintentional.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And the thing is that, as I said, them and their group is the reason why that show happened. Because if they would have not done anything, there would have been nobody to do anything. And all because they were friends with the dude who put it on. And because they really like grasped onto that kind of like nerd culture that was going on in the town, with that store. And we're friends. And they would go and they would frequent the store. They would frequent the shows at the store. Became friends with the guy. And their group was a partner. And then you and me were brought in as associates of Wes. We're friends of Wes, essentially. Even though you were friends with some more of the guys. But, like, we were like, hey, Wes is like, we need guys. You want to come in and help? We can probably, make this happen. And it did. And big props to Wes. That
for sure.
Him opening up that door for us to do that and have that experience, whether or not this was a net negative experience, which it was. But, like, that was still not something that I would ever take back or replace. And, the fact that he was able to make that happen for us for episode 100, as I said, despite everything that revolved around that weekend, that happened. Episode 100 happened, and it was a success for us. And we had, we had the sound guy and Tony, but like the seats got filled as we went along, and that made me just have a lot of fun. And we did. We truly had fun with that. And it really shows in that episode. And we had it's one of those few episodes where we had a time constraint. It's like, we have to do, we can only do 50 minutes, and that's it.
Moving as fast as we can, man.
Yeah. We had a lot of stuff we wanted to touch on and get to. And then, of course, that would go, and we would do, was it 132? Was that it? Yeah.
First LaFiCon.
LaFiCon was 132. So that was not that many more after that. And the reason we ended up doing that is because I had reached out to them about getting us involved because we had already done one. Let's do another. And so that was 2017. Yeah. Well, almost a year later.
Mm-hmm. And shockingly enough, Brando, JIC 200 happened live from LaFiCon.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another cool celebratory moment. I think we argued why The Dark Knight is still a good movie or not, which was an intense conversation to say the least. And I think at that time, if my memory serves me correct, I'm pretty sure we also talked about Infinity War again, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was maybe it was Ant-Man or something like that had just come out, and we were talking about it as well. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to do some cool podcasts live from different locations. Villains Con was my first, and you know, you always remember your first, and it might not necessarily be your best. But you know, I think that money aside, everything as far as our presentation and what we represented went very smoothly. It gave us a confidence and a base to grow what we've done since. And now I go into any interview, and I've interviewed a lot of different levels of famed people now, not like A-list, obviously. I'm not that lucky yet, but you know, some people that have done some shit, you know, and to just always go back to that LaFiCon or Villains Con, I did it again. Always go back to that Villains Con panel, and that's really my foundation of how I approach all interviews now. And it's just it's always a conversation that you can find, you know, amazing little nuggets of gold and questions to ask people that'll really open up their brains and stuff, and you really connect with people that way. So I am grateful for that part of the experience. It was still a shit show. We will always remember Villains Con 2016
for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. Yep. For real. But you know, it was good to sit back and reminisce about it, especially this many years later, because the thing is, coming out of that, you know, we had JIC 100. We were super proud of that. You know, we had you know, the 2 new shows, and then I think Foodies was like right behind that. You know,
it came out May 16th of that same time frame. I think it actually was before Villains Con. Essentially, we did our episode 0, but the real running of the show happened a little bit after. Yeah, that
right.
August.
Right. So like we had the 2 already like rolling, and we were getting those rolling. So the fact that we had to talk about the fact that these episodes were recorded at Villains Con, and then still had to allude to Villains Con without being negative about it. And I don't remember if we actually alluded to it at all as being sort of a, well, you know, that's a
JIW is the one. That's the one that'll have the negativity, if any of them.
Well, because there might have been some JIC that episodes after that where if if anything got said as far as like, well, that was that, you know.
134 maybe of JIC, Local Man Saved by Tiger.
Was that Joe Exotic?
No, that was 134, Brando. Well before Joe Exotic. I'm pretty sure that was alluding to Shiva.
Yeah,
in The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Oh man, that's when Shiva comes in and saves Rick.
But that might have been the first episode, because the episodes before that with like Andy Cordy, BKM, Fiberglass Freaks, JTC, like those were all segmented interviews we had. Oh wait, I'm doing it again. Doing it again. Damn it, I'm doing it again. Yep. Nope. I don't know where it would be after Villains Con. 102 or some shit. 103 probably. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's like in any means, if we said anything, it was nothing to the level of what we went through here today, where we actually broke into some detail. Because, I mean, as I said, and as I said to Kerrigan, being a part of this as the first con I've ever been a part of, it's taught me how to not run a con. And then going into LaFiCon with that experience already under my belt, knowing kind of what to expect as far as that first LaFiCon that we were a part of,
We became Wes and his crew,
Yes.
and it's never stopped. I mean, I'm not being shitty about it. I'm just being factual. Like, the people that run the con handed the con over to us and said, please run this con. Like, you actually seem to know what you're doing. And ever since we've had our hands in the honey jar with them, I think we've done a pretty decent job of at least trying to be entertaining during a con,
Well, and again, what does that fall back on? We saw what had happened before and just strive not to repeat that.
It's pretty easy.
It's not that difficult. I remember I had a lot of input onto that first con. One, getting us even on there, getting us on the stage, and two, getting these panels together and going through these guys. I wasn't always on stage, but we made sure we were on time every single time, and we recorded every single one of them for us to use as content, because that was like, there's no point in us doing this if we're not getting content. And that's the way it was. And you going back, I remember going to my first con ever, and at Indiana Comic Con. It was like 2014, maybe.
No, you guys had Wyatt, bro.
Nope. That was the second one.
Oh,
We went
okay,
to one
my
before
bad.
Wyatt, and I want to say it was 2014. It was the year I started collecting games, because they had games there, and I was like, woo, let's go check out games. And I'll never forget seeing the Batmobile there, and Mark Rickup was there. And when I saw him at LaughCon, I was like, yeah, Batmobile guy. He goes, yeah. I'm like, were you at Indie Comic Con? Yeah. Oh man, there's even a picture I have on my Instagram of the Batmobile with Mark right there talking to somebody.
From then,
yeah.
dude, planting seeds, bro. Isn't it weird how the world
And
works?
so it's like, getting be able to talk to him, or really, like, he kind of did his own thing and presented his thing, and we got to talk to him off stage, and it was really cool getting to talk to Brian. We already knew Brian, like at least a little bit, so like that was like just catching up with an old friend. Because he didn't know who we were until we said something. He's like, oh, yes, I remember you guys from like last year. Yeah, all right. Wes, all right. And he was in there with the thing, and we're like, yeah. So that Villains Con 2016, he goes, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh man. Yeah, no, thankfully, he's local, and he comes out for a lot of the stuff here. And really cool guy. Shout out to Brian K. Morris. Really cool guy. Really great character.
Rising Tide Publications. He does
Mhm.
Clever Title Pending, is the live podcast type show that he does. Spoiler alert, in the future, he may be joining our network in a capacity. We have had many courting conversations to have him be some sort of a podcast creator for our network, because he is such an amazing dude for sure. And his motto is rising tides raise all ships. And I do firmly believe that, the stronger you build your base together, the larger and the higher up you'll go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's kind of what this show is too. It's a representative. It's you and me getting back together. Us, starting the journey into comics. You started the podcast. I joined in helped raise that up. We did our first live show. We did a second live show. I left before the third live show, but then here we are again, full circle with OGs. Network's still running strong. We're helping support that. Game Addicts is running strong despite all my efforts to the contrary. I don't know. I cannot explain. Like, I don't deserve the love that I get for Game Addicts, because I feel like I have been in a spiral with that. Like, I need to do something. I need to I kind of feel like the sale is like blowing, and I'm just like, I didn't do a show this week. Shit. It's like, I guess I'll do it next week. It's like, man, my listeners aren't going to be there. And it's like, wow, there's more listeners this week than
You know what's weird? I just realized something. You and I actually have done another live podcast since the 132 that you alluded, because we did Breaking Kayfabe JIC season 3 episode like 8 or some shit, I think it was.
Came
but
back
yeah,
from JIW, yeah,
which was amazing and interesting, and it was also still very super bizarre and surreal because we did everything as if nothing had changed or happened in our whole relationship for that day.
It was funny.
It was like business as usual. We're in the fucking moment, and I think it was just everything timing out to be. We're always in the right place at the right time, Brando. If being in Villains Con and LaFiCon subsequently and all the different things we've experienced throughout. I mean, Todd Black was a member of the audience at Villains Con and then became a guest on our show.
Multiple,
on a couple of shows.
A couple different ones,
times.
Doing his Kickstarter stuff. And I backed 10,000 Miles, and, really great book that he worked on. And, a really cool cat, and really driven to really create his art. And he's not going to let anything get in his way or stop him. And that's the same thing with what we've got going on with the GIC network, with GameX podcasts, and now with OGs. It's like we're just going to keep pushing and making some new stuff. You've got a Can of Culture that has come out. It's a new show. We got some other new stuff dropping on the network as well.
Can of Culture, you say?
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, it's one of those things,
It's a celebration.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, as 6 weeks ago, as we recorded this, we have May the 4th, which has become a sort of pseudo holiday on Monday. We have Cinco de Mayo on Taco Tuesday.
Oh shit, son!
Did you not realize that?
I did realize that. It's also Revenge of the 5th.
It is Revenge of the 5th. But, I mean, when is the last time Taco Tuesday had Cinco de Mayo?
Probably a couple of years ago, realistically.
Probably. Yeah. You're right. But here's the thing.
Not too many years ago, but a few.
Tomorrow, we're making taco pizza, homemade taco pizza here at the house.
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
We're going to see how that turns out. But then we're going to have enough left over for the next day for Taco Tuesday.
Hey.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, the taco joint right down the road from us is still open. They're doing carry-out only orders all the time. We are definitely going to be giving them some cash on Taco Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, and just enjoy it up. Maybe have a Corona in celebration of life. Is that a bad joke?
So check this out. Yeah, kind of is a bad joke, but but I got one last little short story. It has nothing to do with anything. This just made me laugh the other day.
Sure.
Because it's one of those things that elicits a response of, what? So the other day, my wife Kate, she went out to go to the store right after I went to the store. It's one of those weird things. I went to the store and forgot one thing, and I was supposed to get a bunch of baby food, but I didn't know how much to get. And she just wrote down a bunch of stuff on a list that she found online. But
and then she said, "Fuck it, I'll go."
Well, because I was there for 7 minutes going, "This one, do you have it?" And I'm like, no. Next one. Wait. No. And I got tired of it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna grab. Okay, this one's there, that one's there. So I got some, but she wanted more because she wants to diversify Owen's palate. So, she's out, and I'm like, well, maybe while you're out, you could just pick up lunch or something, something cheap, easy. I'm not really concerned about it. Yeah, I'm sure the kid will love some chicken nuggets or something. She goes, so you just want Mickey D's? I'm like, yeah, fine, get Mickey D's, right? So she goes to get, and he's all super excited for getting chicken nuggets. Which, I mean, this kid's a nugget fiend. He eats nuggets. We have Tyson nuggets that he eats, and yeah, he's super excited for McDonald's nuggets and fries and oh yeah, and all that stuff. He goes, "Can I have mayonnaise with my nuggets?"
Get out of my house.
And I'm just like,
I would have said.
I'm just like,
get a job. It's time to leave.
What?
Mayo on nuggets.
He goes, I like mayonnaise. Can I have it with my nuggets? I'm like, no, bud, you're going to have ranch with your nuggets. He goes, maybe afterwards for a treat?
Mayo treat. That's the episode title. Mayo treat.
I'm just thinking with just a bowl of it? Eating just a bowl of mayonnaise.
Oh. I actually have one last story now. Because
all right, go for it.
You told a story about a McDonald's run. So So Ollie had a really rough day a few weeks ago, which was really just a couple days ago. Because time travel, it doesn't get old. Anyways, he had a rough time, and he had a bad day. Had to go to the doctor. Didn't get to see his grandma. Like, and I know it's social distancing and stuff, but she just like kind of brushed it off a little bit, and it was kind of like a shitty thing to do to a 6-year-old. So he's all like literally sitting at the window, crying. He's bummed. And I was like, hey, man, I know technically we probably shouldn't do this, but if we don't get out of the car, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Do you want to ride with me to go get us some Dairy Queen? We're going to get some ice cream. And he was like, oh, yes. So we go, we get in the line. And I knew what I was getting into because Sarah and V like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago had gone when I don't have how many weeks ago it's been because time is irrelevant when you're in quarantine. They went and they were in drive-thru for like 55 minutes because they only have drive-thru.
Yeah.
So it takes some time, you know? And I was like, okay, so I know what to expect. Even if I'm getting just ice cream, it's probably going to take a little bit of time. So Ali and I get in line. The line isn't to the road yet. So we're like right by the building. And there's, you know, probably like 4 or 5 cars worth of space behind us. Within 2.5 minutes, it's completely full to the road and hooked around blocking the entrance. Okay. And I'm like, wow, they close at 10 and it's 9. And some of these people are probably not going to get their order. So there's a guy like 4 cars in front of us. And I look and I notice he's got his reverse lights on and he gets on a line. This is one of those fast food restaurants where the drive-thru is your way out, especially if the entrance is blocked off. So he backs out of the space and goes to leave. And he backs all the way through every line of car to only realize he's trapped and can't fucking go anywhere because the line of cars is out the road. So now he's just stuck with no food, nowhere to get out of the drive-thru, dude. I'm dying laughing. Ali and I thought it was the funniest thing because he was just like, just seething, you know, like I'm stuck. I can't, because I've been there before, man. Like made a dangerous decision thinking it's gonna pay off, and then you're stuck still, and you're like, ah, damn it, I just want to go home.
Oh man, dude, that's funny. Yeah, like especially right now, you know, like I remember last time that we ordered, the time before that, you know, like a week or two ago, we ordered some BK or whatever, and we ordered it on the app, and just prepaid for it. The cool thing is that they still make it fresh for you when you get there, but all you got to roll up is like, I got to order for Brandon Stone, and it's like, bloop, 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 bloop. There it is, and you can select what you want and what you don't want, and it's just like, all right, pull around. Nice. So you don't have to sit there and tell them. You can just, it helps the ordering process go quicker. However, I still sat there for like almost 15 minutes.
Because they have to prepare your food fresh.
Well, that and me, the guy in front of me, the guy in front of him, and the guy in front of him. So there was like 4 of us in a row that was like, because once we started moving, it was like boom, 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 here's your food. But yeah, no, they needed to make it fresh. So, I mean, it's just the times that we live in right now. It's pretty crazy. But I hope all of you guys have enjoyed our discussion and breakdown of our first con experience. It definitely was something that literally pieced itself together right before we went to record. And there was no...
gonna release like fucking 5 years to the day.
Yeah, crazy.
Strangely enough.
Well, like more like 4 years.
20. Oh, it's 2016.
Yeah, it's 2020, dude.
Oh my god, I'm all kinds of fucking timed out, bro.
Yeah, I'm about timed out too because it's midnight here.
Yeah. Ooh, it's getting late.
It's getting late, and I haven't even eaten dinner yet. So.
Well, let's take this one home, brother, so you can put food upon your belly.
All right. So, yeah, you can check out the Journey into Comics Network and all the great podcast platforms.
Well as the Game Addicts podcast on all the amazing platforms.
Yes, as well. And the OGs is available on the Journey into Comics Network every other Wednesday. You could
as well as on YouTube.
As well as on YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel. Check us out at the OGs podcast. You can check us out there where the video portion of the show will be going. We're literally we're going to be sitting here. The best part about it is that you'll be able to see us when we get frozen, especially Nate, since I'm recording on my end. So he's like, and he doesn't get frozen.
I love it.
What's funny is more recently I'm figuring out how to do like different ways to help promote podcast stuff, and I figured out that I can add music to Instagram stories. And when I started like, oh, okay, so I did, you know, we did you guessed it on Game Addicts this past week, 6 weeks ago, and when we did the Worst of Us,
the Mayo treat this week, 6 weeks ago.
So I took a screenshot of it, but I was trying to find a good shot of it where we weren't going like that. But and the shot that I got was me going like, and then you going. It just looked. It cracked me up. And of course, I hope you like the Easter egg for the song that I chose to put on that.
Of course, bro. As soon as you did, I was like, this guy, he fucking gets it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do all those cool Instagram stories. You're gonna have to like workshop me someday when we have some time. Like, show me how to do that shit. But
I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, trust me, I made
enough.
one. I made one and I went,
Huh.
how do I post it? She goes, that thing down there. I'm like, that has the Facebook button. She goes, it goes to your Facebook as well. Oh, so if I hit that button, okay. Got to figure it out. Anyway, yeah, you can check us all the podcast stuff out in all the podcast places. Is the network on iHeartRadio yet?
It should be. I haven't got the email yet, but it's only been a week. So
Okay.
it's actually been 8 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry.
At this point, we might actually be on there. Anyway, Game Addicts Podcast is on there. You can check it like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the big places like that. And as we said on YouTube, Podbean, the gracious hosts at Podbean that we host through for both shows as well. You can check out journeytocomics.com, GameAddictsPodcast.com. Social medias for both. All those links will be down below there. And that's all I got.
Me too. Okay.
That's all I got, Nate. Dude, thanks for sitting here chilling with me for almost 2 hours talking. It's always a blast to sit down and do this show because quite literally there is no format. There is no news to talk about. We're not talking about anything crazy. We're just sitting here shooting the shit.
And with this being the longest OGs I think we've done in the second iteration of our show, because we've actually kept the episode 10-9 and 9-10 have been kept to shorter formats.
Yeah. Well,
so this one definitely went longer, but it definitely had a reason to be longer considering we had a lot to unpack. And you know what? I don't even know if you sent me an itinerary of like ideas for the season 2 or the second half. I don't think this was on the list of things that we intended on doing, but man, what a great little moment of time that we could open up and really deep dive.
Well, exactly. Well, you know, we always get made fun of for being nostalgic and looking back and doing retrospective on ourselves.
Some of these fuckers will get a little bit older and realize it's important to be reflective.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it kind of allows us to toot our own horn, but it allows us to take a look at a specific window in time where all these things kind of came together, where Game Addicts was just in its infancy, JIW was there just starting, and episode 100, and it all surrounded and was this great little delicious sandwich around a shitburger of Villains Con 2016.
It was a mayo treat and a shitburger.
Oh man,
I'm sorry, your kid asking for a mayo treat is just like my new favorite worst, cringe-worthy saying.
Why? I didn't know what to say to that.
Dad, can I have a bowl of mayo? What? Are you gonna dip something in it? Nope, just mayo.
Well, and this is the kid who just earlier he didn't want to try a carrot dipped in ranch.
That's amazing. Carrots dipped in ranch is amazing.
And guess what? He liked it. He loved it. He didn't want to dip his finger into sweet and sour sauce. I've got Kraft, my favorite sweet and sour sauce, Kraft. I love that shit. Because we had egg rolls for lunch, and it was like, no, I don't want to. And I had to convince him. And he's like, that's good. He kept wanting more. I'm like, get out of my ass. Get out of my sweet and sour sauce.
You should film him next time. Be like, this is what you do. You say no, and then you say yes. See?
Yeah, right. Well,
here is an example.
That's pretty much the quintessential, like you just described it perfectly. The of having a 4 going on 5-year-old. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I'm gonna hate this. No, you're gonna love it. I'm gonna hate this. No, trust me, it's good, dude. I'm gonna fucking hate it. It's gonna be great, bro. I promise you're gonna love it. Fuck, that's really good. Can I have some more of that, man? No! You said you were going to hate it. Now I don't want you to have any on a principle, you little asshole.
It's almost like they're going to hate it until they think it's their idea that they liked it to begin with.
Hey, Brando, I thought about something real quick. I know we're tangenting into infinity here.
We're at 158:48, so go. Let's get this done before 2 hours.
Okay, so quickly, I just realized that there's a part in our lives here in the near future, like maybe 4 or 5 years for you, more like 2 or 3 years for me, where the children that are in our lives can go back and look at our content and like start to hold us accountable. So, hey, Ollie, I'm so sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry in advance. Like, my bad, dude.
Anyway, guys, we really hope you enjoyed this episode of the OGs. Until next time, I've been Brando.
I'm Nate.
And we'll catch you in about in a week, maybe if not 7 weeks, 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
In 8 weeks, we'll see you guys later on.
Ciao.